Good afternoon, everybody. I want to come on and talk about forward-leaning inversion. This is a tool that is traditionally used during pregnancy. And during pregnancy, we're using it to leverage gravity to suspend the uterus in space and stretch the uterine ligaments that cannot be reached um, through palpation. It works really, really well. Um, but something that I've been encountering in my practice is that a lot of people are only doing it one time a day, and then not every day. So I want to talk about how when we're trying to get something like a ligament to change its behavior and the way that it exists in our body, um, we need to use repetition. So there are very few contractile fibers um, in ligaments, and also there's a very low blood supply in ligaments. It ligaments count on the surrounding capillaries and muscles that have more blood supply that are, providing heat for those structures to be warm and provide nutrition from the oxygen exchange and the nutrient exchange that goes on in a cellular level. So, all of the science nerdery said, um, basically, what that means is that one time a day is not enough to really make a lasting change. In order to create lasting change, we need to wake up the central nervous system. And in order to do that, we need to do repetition. That's how our nervous system learns things and remembers things so that our body just automatically starts to do stuff. So you could put it next door to things like muscle memory. So when you are writing with a utensil, you learn how to do that through repetition and practice of writing the stuff on a piece of paper over and over and over again. We start in elementary school, and hopefully you keep your writing up all the way through your whole life. Um, because it's really good for your brain. Anyway, different talk. But so it's a really similar concept. Bare minimum, if you're expecting to create change in the uterine ligaments, whether you're pregnant or not, whether you have a uterus or a prostate, even, you need to do it at least 3 times um, in a session, even. So I would like everybody who sees this little video, if you're somebody who has uterine or prostate issues, forward leaning aversion is a really great tool. If you're somebody who's pregnant and has a baby growing inside of you, and your uterus might be tilted to one side or the other, and you would like it to be more upright, um, you need to do this more than once a day in order for that change to happen. Um, Let me touch real quickly on why I'm referencing the position of the uterus and not the baby. So, the baby is going to do whatever the baby's going to do. We don't really have a lot of influence over that. But what we do have influence over is the soft tissue connections and the bony connections of the uterus as an organ. And so when we can help a uterus to get in a really good balanced state where it's sitting upright in the pelvis rather than leaning to one side or the other, or too far back, or too far forward, or any combination of those things, then we're creating the most space possible in the uterus for the baby to occupy. And then the baby can find its most efficient position, its safest position in order for its birth to happen. And whether you're planning a vaginal birth or a surgical birth, this is still a really helpful tool to leverage. I also want to shout out to Carol Phillips. Dr. Carol Phillips is the person who brought forward leaning inversion to our community as a tool to use for this. But I've actually been leveraging it and using it on people who aren't pregnant to help with incontinence issues and whatnot. So it's got a lot of uses, but one time a day is not enough. You need to do it at least 3 times. If you have extraordinary things going on, you may need to do it more, but I would encourage you to connect with a prenatal professional who is trained in this kind of work. So that could be a body worker, it could be a doula, it might be a midwife, possibly your OB will know about this. There are some OBs that know about things like forward leaning aversion, but not many. There are a few out there though. Okay. So if you have questions though, please feel free to ask them in the comments. I am more than happy to talk about this. I feel like it's really important, and I feel like there's some misinformation floating out around out there. It's not harmful. It's not going to hurt anybody, but it's not going to do what's being promised either. So forward leaning aversion, whether you're pregnant or not, 3 times per session. And remember, if you have a circulatory disorder, dizziness, epilepsy, forward leaning aversion is not for you. Okay. Thank you.